So could this be true? Could perimenopause and menopause actually shift your genetic profile? Well, the quick answer is no. The title of the video is slightly misleading, but what we do see is that things that have always been present in your genome become more obvious and start affecting us in different ways as a result of some of the hormonal shifts that happen because we're going through perimenopause and menopause. So one example of this is a serotonin transporter gene, or SLC6A4. So we are meant to have the long form of this gene, but some women have one or two short copies of the gene. And how this, or what this causes in women, is that if they don't have the long form, if they have the short forms, then they are ultimately less resilient to stress, and they can fall into a depression as estrogen levels fall as a result of perimenopause and menopause. They start to feel these effects of having the shorter copies as opposed to the long copy that they wouldn't otherwise be feeling. And this is because estrogen is going down, and estrogen is essentially protective and is helpful in covering up the fact that we have a short copy as opposed to a long copy. Another way that this affects these women with the short copies is that they are more resistant to SSRIs, which are a type of medication used to manage depression. So that's kind of a compounding variable. So they have more likelihood of having a mood disorder through perimenopause and menopause, and then it becomes actually more challenging to treat them as a result of this difference in genetic profile. And a third thing that happens is that they tend to demonstrate cortisol resistance, which is again challenging because the brain essentially becomes numb to cortisol, which is actually not a good thing. Some of you guys might be thinking, dang, I wish I could be resistant to cortisol and I could just not be affected by it. But it causes kind of a flat affect and lack of responsiveness to stressors in an appropriate way, because we need to be responding to stressors to a certain degree. The next one is COMT, or catecholomethyltransferase. And this helps us process catecholamines. So it's a gene that helps us process dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. And what we're kind of supposed to have is a MET-Val combination gene, and people who have the MET variant have problems or additional problems processing estrogens. So if this is something that you're carrying in your genome, then if you haven't already seen effects of it, then as you move through perimenopause and menopause, you can have additional issues with estrogen imbalances as your body is already trying to navigate a pretty sticky and complicated shift in estrogen profile. And the last one I'm going to talk about is brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, and it encourages growth of our nerve cells and neuroplasticity. And our estrogen typically increases BDNF, and of course, as estrogen falls off in perimenopause and menopause, we see a decrease in BDNF, and not surprisingly, exercise will increase this factor. Cortisol will decrease this factor. So if you are undergoing extreme lifestyle stressors while going through perimenopause and menopause, which many women unfortunately are, because perimenopause usually hits at some point in the 40s, and that decade is just a challenging one. I haven't hit it myself, but from speaking to my patients, there's just so much going on, right? The kids are at an age where you know, the dynamic is really shifting. Marital issues and things are shifting. Career growth is probably at a maximum through your 40s if you're a career woman. You know, there's just so many things going on. So if you are simultaneously having a spike in cortisol levels, a decrease in estrogen levels, then your BDNF is just basically taking a big dump and going, you know, lower than low, lower than maybe you want to see it go, and that will ultimately affect your nerve cell growth and neuroplasticity. So we see issues with long-term memory and like higher thinking capacities and learning. So what this translates into usually in the early years is simply that women are reporting kind of this baby brain well after baby brain is actually happening. So it's well after, you know, they're like, I am not even in my childbearing years. I have no plans to be pregnant. I'm not pregnant, but I feel like my brain is just not working the way that it used to. And that could be a result of this BDNF factor that you have in your genome. So anyways, just wanted to share some interesting facts on how your genes are affected as you move through perimenopause and menopause. If you thought this was interesting or helpful, I would love for you to give this video a big like. And if you have any comments or questions, just post them below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Take care. Bye.